In May 1990, then unknown 21-year-old Mariah Carey released her debut single, Vision of Love. Within a handful of weeks, the song would hit number 1 on the Billboard charts, and it would be followed by 4 additional number 1 tracks, setting records and making it clear Mariah Carey and her 5-octave vocal range were here, and pop music would never sound the same. So join the great pop culture debate as we hit the highest of the highs as we determine the best Mariah Carey song, at least until mid-2025 when we're recording this. I have sometimes been accused of being mutton dressed as a lamb. For this episode, I am taking the lamb thing quite literally. I'm your host, Eric Resniak. Please welcome my panelists for this episode. Our first panelist may be a heartbreaker, but you will get the best of him. It's Kevin Dillon.
Eric, you will hear me say, give me your love, quite often in public spaces.
It's true. He does scream it at 1 o'clock in the morning, and his neighbors are tired of him giving his all. Next, please welcome back special guest star Nick Everidge, an elusive chanteuse who is obsessed with getting guys to touch his body.
Touch it, baby. Touch it.
A wise woman once told me that love takes time, Nick.
It sure does.
It sure do. And finally, we have another special guest for this episode. He's a critically acclaimed author, writing professor, academic advisor, and book coach whose novels include And They Lived, No Perfect Places, and The Boyfriend Subscription. His latest is When Love Gives You Lemons, and his debut, Can't Take That Away, is heavily inspired by the legendary diva herself. Please welcome to the great pop culture debate, Mariah Carey superfan Steven Salvatore.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and debate all things Mariah.
Steven, it's a sweet, sweet fantasy that you're joining us for this episode. And up in the producer booth, we have Curtis Creekmore. All he wants for Christmas is to end this episode on schedule. If you're curious about how we ended up with this sweet, sweet 16, become a Patreon supporter of our little show or listen to the 3-minute preview available wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, you can head to this episode on greatpopculturedebate.com to find the listener bracket as well as all 16 nominated songs, so you can play along with us at home. While you're there, check out some of our related episodes, including Best Whitney Houston Song, Best Girl Group, and Best Song of 1994, all available at greatpopculturedebate.com. With that out of the way, we need to make it happen, so let's get into these debates. Before I do, we need to address the sleigh in the room. All I Want for Christmas Is You is not on this bracket, and that was a decision made by yours truly. In my opinion, Mariah's Christmas music is its own kind of entity. It lives in its own universe. It is trying to compare it to her broader catalog would be almost an injustice. So if you dislike that, feel free to make fun of me on the internets. Everybody else does, but that's how we're doing this. So first up, the bulk of the panel is sticking with ultimate number 1 seed, Always Be My Baby, but Kevin just can't get over the charms of 4 seed Shake It Off. Kevin, bounce, and tell us why we should check out Shake It Off. Steven, tell us why we should still be as one when it comes to Baby. Kevin, please go first.
I know I might be on the outs on this, but I wanted to talk about the best Shake It Off song that does exist. And yes, drag me. I don't care about your new album release, Taylor Swift. That did happen yesterday. Don't care. Anyway, let's talk about the person we're really meant to be talking about, and that's one Miss Mariah Carey. Shake It Off is just a fun mid-tempo R&B pop and hip-hop song. It has this beautiful thump sound and also kind of a minimalist production value as well. It's just kind of Mariah Carey leaning into the fun or the evolution as she was kind of coming back from being torn down by a lot of her critics. And it was really nice to see that this song really felt like an anthem of Carey, leaning into being I'm just going to shake all that off and just go and vibe. And I think this ultimately shows some of the best collaboration with Jermaine Dupri, who is a longtime writer and collaborator with her. And he really gets her in a really interesting way. And I think he does the thing with this song with her that I love about Mariah Carey, which is that hip hop R&B influence that really stuck with her career and made her a presence within those charts. This song was the number 2 charting song, followed by We Belong Together. And I think from that album, We Belong Together gets most of the credit because it did chart the longest. But for me, I like when she has more fun and there's a playfulness to her vibe. And that's why I went with Shake It Off.
And the album here in question is The Emancipation of Mimi?
Yes.
Just making sure. So this is a 3-1. I want to check. Nick Everidge, has he swayed you? Or are you going to be sticking with Always Be My Baby? Ow.
I gotta stick with it, baby. I know you gave such great messages there, but Always Be My Baby. That's in my heart.
Shooby Doop, Steven. Are you sticking with Always Be My Baby?
I'm definitely sticking with Always Be My Baby, although Kevin made very salient points about Shake It Off. I want to say, for the record, I do not want the Swifties to come after you. But I also agree that it is the far superior Shake It Off.
Yeah. Next, 3/4 of the panel is devoting itself fully to 2-seed My All, but Nick is holding out for another vote for 3-seed Love Takes Time. Nick, tell us why you couldn't escape the pain inside if Love Takes Time goes out in round 1. Kevin, tell us why you're still living in the memory of My All. Nick, please go first.
These songs, the pain, the person, she is broken down, she doesn't know where to go. These songs are so, while they're unique, the messages are so similar. And in that sense, I really think that Love Takes Time really is the progenitor. It's the original. And My All certainly builds upon this concept, but you just have that rawness of being on the first album. And listen, there's some history, fascinating history about this song too, because it wasn't supposed to be on the first album.
Oh.
Originally, Mariah was recording for the second album, and she was flying with Sony people on a private jet, you know, as you do once you hit about to be a star. And she's on the plane and she's playing it. And all of the bigwigs were like, that song, that needs to go into the album. The album was already being produced. It was being printed here soon. And they were like, okay. But she fought, but she finally gave in. And lo and behold, it made it onto the album and became another #1 hit. It was tough, but Love Takes Time for me.
All right, Steven, is it going to be My All, or has he swayed you to Love Takes Time?
I have to be honest, I love Love Takes Time. The vocals on her debut album are unmatched. I mean, the voice is just pure. It's incredible. But I'm going to invoke my dead grandmother, rest in peace, because every time she heard My All, she would get super emotional. And she always turned to me and she'd be like, that Mariah, she really loved that Derek Jeter. My All is just My All.
All right, Kevin, is it going to be My All or Love Takes Time?
I would also miss that baseball bat if I were Mariah too. No, I'm sticking with My All. This will also come up, and I'm going to say this briefly, but Mariah Carey's not really known to be a music video artist like a lot of her peers, but I do think this is one of the videos that really stands out in connection with her songs. And I think that's an important facet to music, and love this music video, love this song. It's heartbreaking, and let's keep pushing it.
So, Nick, you did a great job defending Love Takes Time. We're giving our all to My All, and it will continue into round 2. Next, debates. I don't know her. We have a slew of unanimous decisions by our panel, which decided that 1-seed Emotions produced more feelings than 4-seed When You Believe, 2-seed Hero had the strength to carry on over 3-seed Obsessed, and 1-seed Fantasy was sweeter than 4-seed Honey. But, Steven, you wanted to say something about Honey.
I just want to say Honey is one of those timeless up-tempo songs. Not just a Mariah song, but like you throw that on now. I felt the same way like back in like 2006, 2007 when Timbaland was having like his moment with like Justin Timberlake and Nelly Furtado. Like you threw Honey in the mix of like Sexy Back and Promiscuous, and that song stood up to those songs then. And I feel like those songs maybe a little bit less timeless, but Honey has, for me, stood that test.
Kevin, you wanted to talk about Obsessed.
I love this fucking song so goddamn much. It is like one of those songs where you're like, is it about a beef with Eminem? Is it about the fact that she's obsessed with Mean Girls? And it's that line. Does it even matter? I remember Nick Cannon saying, why would it be about Eminem? there's no beef. She's vegetarian. He literally said those words to an interview. I just love this song. It's so fun. I love that she just kind of lean into this, like, kind of like, why are you obsessed with me? Like, leave me alone kind of vibe. Like, I am who I am. Again, that's the other thing. That's the element of her music that I really just like. She does not care. And you can bother her, but she will not be bothered. And that is what this song is. And it's just super fun.
Great. So, with that being said, we're going to move on. The panel is leaning toward another round for 2-seed One Sweet Day, the duet with Boyz II Men, but Steven is longing for 3-seed Dreamlover to continue to round 2. Steven, come rescue Dreamlover. Take it up, take it down, take it anywhere you want it. Nick, please tell us why One Sweet Day is just heavenly. Steven, please go first.
So with Dreamlover, that song just inspires so much joy for me. It's like the embodiment of summer. That melody is just so infectious. It's an earworm, a lot like Always Be My Baby. Like, those melodies are going to get stuck in your head. And the way that there's just so much effervescence and happiness in that song. And it's one of those that like provides the blueprint for later songs. Like, you can sing Heartbreaker over Dreamlover. She pretty much lifted that melody from her own song, which I love that she does that from time to time. And I think that in and of itself makes it iconic, because I feel like maybe people gravitate more towards Heartbreaker as the song that, like, I guess stands the test of time. But Dreamlover to me is just, it brings me back to like being a kid. I think I was like 8 years old when that song came out. And I just remember like driving around in the summertime with my aunt in her car, listening to that and being like, who is this? Who is this? I don't know who this is. I don't really know music yet. All I know is like whatever the hell my mom listens to. And now I'm like being exposed to something that is transporting me to another place, and I don't know, that's for me the beauty of music and Mariah's music in general.
Totally. And you made a point like, who is this? Early Mariah was, who is this? Like, I've said this on other episodes before, like, out of nowhere. Like, there was no Mariah Carey, and then suddenly there was Mariah Carey. Like, it was just boom, right? But that being said, Kevin, is it going to be Dreamlover for you? Is it going to be One Sweet Day?
I love Dreamlover, but I have to stick with One Sweet Day. It's One Sweet Day. And I know that's like sort of almost like a pepperoni argument with Mariah, but we don't have many duets on here as well. And I think this represents a solid, people always give Mariah crap for being a diva, which she is. And we love her for that.
We love
but she's
it.
also a good collaborator. She had so many good duets. And I think this represents one of the best.
Nick, are you sticking with One Sweet Day here?
Steven, I respect you. I love some Dreamlover. There's no competition. Girl, I almost said, take your little 10 seconds to talk, and then we'll turn over to One Sweet Day. But there is something about One Sweet Day, whether it's lyrically, the musicality of it, the harmonies. First of all, you have Boyz II Men.
Right.
And Boyz II Men bringing in their levels, Mariah bringing in her different parts. That song just, it's so universal. And yes, it held the record for longest number one on the Billboard charts for 23 years.
Yep.
Okay. And then some Despacito mess came on and took that record away.
Oh.
Right? But it is still the longest held record for a song that premiered at number one.
So I'm also going to give it to One Sweet Day here. Dreamlover's amazing. Again, you're like, how can Dreamlover be going out in round one? These are incredible songs by an incredible artist. These are the difficult decisions we have to be making, but we will be moving One Sweet Day into round two. In our first split decision, half the panel is pushing for 1-seed Vision of Love, while the other half is pumping for 4-seed Heartbreaker at the duet with Jay-Z. Kevin, tell us why you love Heartbreaker, because you love everything Jay says Jay does. I will focus my sights on moving Vision of Love into Elite 8. Kevin, please go first.
I'm going to be honest. I remember as a young child walking around the mall and my parents singing. I have a vision of love of me with a young girl in our class. And so part of it is heteronormativity is why I'm voting against this song. So no, I kid. Heartbreaker is, I think, the most fun Mariah Carey song. I think again, I talked about this in the Best New Artist episode, shameless plug, but I think this is one of those songs that represents Mariah Carey bringing her pop R&B beauty and mixing it with hip hop in a really intense and in an interesting way that no one was doing at this time. She, in this mainstream of a way, like she made the rap pop collaboration a thing. And there are other songs earlier than this that may represent that, but this is what's left. And I think this is one of those crucial songs in her canon that really does need to move forward because it shows what an inventive artist Mariah is and how she pushes barriers with, again, collaborating and working with key folks in the music industry because the bitch is smart. She knows what she's doing. And this is the peak example of that pop rap collaboration.
So I'm going to be honest with you. This one could have been a final four for me easily.
Yep.
These are two really strong, and it's crazy to me that Heartbreaker's a 4 seed. In my opinion, it should have been at least a 3, if not a 2. So I voted for Vision of Love here. I would not be at all mad if Heartbreaker goes through. Vision of Love is Mariah's very first single. It is the song that she started writing as a teenager. Given that the version that we know was recorded when she was still only about 20, it is astonishing how powerful her voice is here. This isn't a debut single. This is a big bang. Literally, pop vocals changed because of this song. That's not an overstatement. Melisma was not a thing prior to this song. And honestly, afterwards, it was everywhere. It destroyed American Idol, which is ironic because she was also on the worst seasons of American Idol. But it was a huge shift in basically pop culture because of this song. It will go on to be the 6th most popular song of 1990, spending nearly 3 months in the Billboard Top 10. The single was certified platinum. It was nominated for 3 Grammys, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. It won her 1 for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. She also won the Soul Train Music Award for Best Female R&B Soul Single and the BMI Pop Award for Best Songwriter. Vision of Love is not just powerful because it's her first song and it was a smash success, it's also one of the most mind-blowing debuts in pop music, in my opinion. Nick, this is a tough call. Is it going to be Vision of Love or is it going to be Heartbreaker for you?
I'm sorry, I got to keep it at Vision of Love.
Okay. Steven, is it going to be Heartbreaker or Vision of Love for you?
I feel like a child torn between parents that were divorcing. And this is not a position I like to be in. Mm-hmm. I feel really attacked right now. I'm struggling with this one because I love Vision of Love. It is iconic for all of the reasons that were mentioned. I don't know. I'm giving it to Heartbreaker. I'm sorry.
So here's the thing. It's 2 and 2, and we go to the seeds in that case. Vision of Love is the 1 seed, Heartbreaker's the 4. But Kevin, your points were very good, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to inform a future decision of mine we're about to get to. Finally, in round 1, the bulk of the panel wants to stay with 2 seed We Belong Together, but I am trying to get something going for 3 seed Make It Happen. Steven, tell us why you would lose a part of yourself if We Belong Together goes away. I'll see if I can make it, if I can take it by pushing for Make It Happen. I'll go first. I understand the significance of We Belong Together in Mariah's career, being one of her big comeback singles and ensuring that she was still relevant to 21st century audiences. Remember how I was just saying that I was going to, Kevin's argument is going to inform a decision? This is that decision. I am going to preemptively switch my vote to We Belong Together because we cannot have no new era Mariah in here. And I think We Belong Together is a great example of it. But here's the thing. For me personally, I will take upbeat Mariah over mid-tempo Mariah any day, and I think Make It Happen is an outstanding example of that. Released off 1992's Emotions album, this is Mariah as a motivational speaker. She's drawing on her own pre-fame experience to tell other aspiring artists, hey, you can do this too. You just have to make it happen. Now, is that necessarily true? No, it is not. Because most people are not Mariah fucking Carey. But Mariah as Tony Robbins, I see you, I feel you, and I love you for that. This song is funky, it's dynamic, it is catchy as hell. How has this song not been a lip sync on RuPaul's Drag Race? I don't even know. It starts out with Mariah being timid and unsure. She slowly finds the power in her voice, and then it explodes in that ecstatic crescendo. I think her full-throated cries in that bridge may be some of the most powerful, exuberant lines she's ever recorded. With that being said, I'm still going to go with We Belong Together. Steven, are you sticking with We Belong Together?
I'm absolutely sticking with We Belong Together. I love Make It Happen. there's so much power in that song. I often find it a little bit difficult to connect to only because of the religious aspects of it. I love a gospel number. I love a gospel track. I feel it in my bones. But there's something that is so universal about We Belong Together. Everybody can connect to a love song, a heartbreak song, whether or not you've been in that kind of like deep, all-consuming love. There's something there for everybody to just come back to and feel.
Nick, is it going to be We Belong Together, or is it going to be what was I? What are we up again? Make It Happen. The thing I was arguing for.
Yeah, it's going to be We Belong Together.
Okay.
We
Kevin,
Belong.
We Belong Together or Make It Happen?
I was going to ask Nick to sing so I could sing, but it's okay. We'll do We Belong Together.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move We Belong Together into the Elite Eight, and that's the end of round one. We're going to take a quick break to check in on Katy Perry. She's done enough. We'll be right back.
My fellow pop culture enthusiasts, the fate of the cinematic universe, the very fabric of fandom itself hangs in the balance. Are you tired of your voice going unheard? Do you have strong opinions of the merits of the prequel trilogy? Do you believe that pineapple belongs on pizza? Well, I do. It's time to make your voice count. Visit greatpopculturedebate.com and cast your vote in our crucial pop culture polls. Your opinion matters. Your vote can shape the future of fandom. Don't let others decide for you. Go to greatpopculturedebate.com and make your voice heard. Together, we can build a better pop culture world.
And we are back for round two of our Best Mariah Carey Song debate. Before we get into the Elite Eight, I would like my panelists to share their social media and what else they're working on. Kevin Dillon, I'd like to start with you.
You can find me on the Bird app, just, like hanging out, still trolling people, yelling at politicians, talking about music, etc. Trying to find the song of the summer because we never got one.
Oh, God,
and
dreadful.
it's driving me nuts. Come save us, Mariah Carey.
Seriously.
And I guess I should say the handle. I'm at ET Kevin's Mind. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Nick Everidge, so delightful to have you back. Where can people find you? What else are you working on?
I am so glad to be back. Thank you. So I am much more of a lurker on social media than a poster. However, I am getting really excited for the upcoming season of the Boston Gay Men's Chorus, of which I have been a member for 22 years.
Which is crazy because you're just 19 years old.
Girl, right? Yeah. Right? So, hey, check out some of our songs on YouTube at BGMC 1982, all one word. And in particular, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas medley. You might get to see a little bit of moi in full-on drag. So check us out.
Full on drag, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. Steven, it's so great to have you with us for this episode. Where can people find you? What else are you working on?
So you can find me primarily on Instagram, Steven Salvatore Books, the same handle for TikTok, although I very, very rarely post. I'm more of a lurker. I am not currently working on any new books. My latest, When Love Gives You Lemons, came out on May 13th of this year. Kind of taking a little bit of a writing break, but I don't even know if I'm using this. I don't even know if I'm using this to announce something, but whatever, right? So I'm actually working on a podcast myself, and I'm hoping to launch it in the fall. It's called Repurposed, and it's really all about rediscovering joy after a lot of creative stagnation and failure and, trying to find new purpose. So that's a little project that my summer has been kind of devoted to. So
I love that. And honestly, I'm all about mining joy where we can right now. And what? I love failure. I'm so good at it. So I'm excited to check that out. And again, thank you so much for being here with us on this episode. The best place to follow us is on Blue Sky at gpcd.bsky.social or at Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram or TikTok. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube where we're posting original video content. But what you really need to do right now is to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's out every Tuesday at noon, and it tells you about everything coming out in pop culture that week. Sign up by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. Now, let's open up the music box and get into round two. First, I think we have a unanimous victory for one seed Always Be My Baby, which means we did not give two seed My All anything except for the cool shoulder. Kevin, we have not yet talked at all about Always Be My Baby. Would you mind kind of taking us into that journey?
Yeah, so Always Be My Baby. When I was doing my research on this song, I came upon a quote from this Billboard critic, and he described it as delightfully bright and funky finger snapping. He added that it reminds us that she is loose-wristed soul in a really fun and deep and meaningful way. And I think that's why I like this song. That's what stands out to me about this song. I think Always Be My Baby just has kind of this almost like R&B girl group vibe to it without any of the backup singers, because Mariah Carey doesn't need backup singers. And she really can carry this kind of mid-tempo ballad in a really interesting way. I think, while this is not exactly one of her best charting songs, I do think beyond it charting, it really just has that kind of like finger snapping, and I want to sing it so bad. But again, I'm not going to be singing on this episode. But it will linger on. Like, you think about all the little lines from this song, and they really are just so beautiful, meaningful. And I think this actually emphasizes her writing style and the fun that she has when she co-writes music with folks. And so I just love Always Be My Baby.
Wonderful. And it will be continuing into the final four. Next, it's absolutely unanimous decision in favor of one seed Emotions, meaning that two seed Hero will be taking a fall. But we didn't actually speak at all about Hero in round one. So I would love for Steven to salute the song. Steven?
This song could probably be considered one of Mariah's signature songs to a very specific demographic. I think all of the people who continuously say, oh, I love Mariah, but I love the Mariah from the 90s. Hero is really kind of what they're referring to, that like big balladeer Mariah that, sings about something that is super uplifting. I think the beauty of Hero is that, sort of like We Belong Together, its lyrics are very, very universal, and it's something that everybody can experience. That idea of kind of working through failure in some way, and that something comes along and gives you that strength to carry on, and you realize that you are the one that's going to lift yourself up and push yourself forward. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing, and I think in a lot of ways it is her signature song. But I would argue the same for Always Be My Baby. So
yeah, it's tough. Mr. Everidge, you had some thoughts?
I just need to mention Hero is so magical because she didn't write it initially for herself.
Oh.
She was writing that
Gloria Estefan to sing for the movie Hero with Dustin Hoffman, which really didn't take off or anything. And when she was playing the demo for Tommy Mottola, he was like, you can't give that song away. That is too good. And she wrote it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like she went to the bathroom and she came back and she's like, oh, hey.
Nick, you did want to talk about Emotions, though. We haven't talked about Emotions at all.
No. And how can you not talk about your emotions? You feel good. I feel nice. Listen, Emotions is, I think, the most connected her lyrics are to the maximization of her entire range. All right? When she is exuberantly happy, that's connecting going into the whistle range. Mm-hmm. And that interconnectedness just gives you cannot help but bop along. I don't care when you put it on, whatever mood you're in, you have got to move along with it. And she uses the whistle to its strongest effect, I think. There are no wasted high notes just to have high notes. Mm-hmm. Emotions always will live in my heart. It is such a fabulous song.
It really is, and we will be talking about it more because it's moving into the final four. Next, the bulk of the panel wants to keep dreaming with One Seed Fantasy, but I still can't get Two Seed One Sweet Day out of my head. Stephen, give us those images of rapture creeping in slowly, which sounds very Kirk Cameron, so I'm not actually fully down with it. But as you talk about why you're still feeling the fantasy, I will talk the Boyz, the Menses, and the Mariah on One Sweet Day. But Stephen, why don't you go first? Because we've talked a little bit about One Sweet Day. We haven't talked about fantasy at all.
I mean, there's one word that I associate with fantasy, and that's innovative. I mean, there is something about that song that changed the entire landscape of pop music. All of the pop girls, everybody from Beyonce to Ariana Grande, every single pop girl out there right now is doing what Mariah did in 1995 with Fantasy, like blending pop and R&B and hip hop, and, you know, using that Genius of Love sample was just so masterful. And then how she interpolated that into the remix, which is really the blueprint for every single pop song since then. She doesn't really get her flowers the way that she should for that, but like the thought of Mariah as this, you know, white coated, you know, girl who is just out there singing ballads, you know, as she puts it, with her turtleneck up to here, which she never really did that, but whatever. And the thought that like she would come out with a remix with Old Dirty Bastard and that would actually change the game. You would never have been able to predict that. And every female artist who's on the charts today deserves, Mariah deserves to have that recognition as the one who paved the way for that. So for that alone, Mariah, that fantasy just is in a league of its own.
I'm seeing a lot of hands being raised. Kevin, I saw you first. What did you want to chime in saying?
Oh, amen. No, just well said. Like fantasy all the way, all the way.
Nick, I saw you raising your hand.
Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers.
Iconic. Absolutely iconic.
R.I.P. Old Dirty Bastard, who, by the way, if you never listened to his solo album, I can't even mention the title of it because I literally, as a white man, cannot say those words. But it is so good. It is musically fucking brilliant. And he was honestly so talented. What a fucking loss. But on that note, let's talk about One Sweet Day. So Nick already alluded to a lot of this before. 16 weeks at number one on the Billboard Hot 100. That's 4 months of chart supremacy. That is crazy. Billboard named it the number one most popular song of the 1990s in its decade-ending chart, and it went 4 times platinum. That is exceptional. Pop culture in general has done a very poor job of giving flowers, not just to Mariah, but also to Boyz II Men, who, lest we forget, was one of the biggest selling artists of the 1990s. And I know everyone's like, well, the New Kids of the Block is what gave us Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. No, Boyz II Men in their success is what gave you those bands. And they don't get any of the credit for it. I wonder why. What could the difference be? But this was a marriage of 2 artists at their peak of their power. And what is really interesting, Nick alluded to this in the first round, that Mariah wanted to write the song about the AIDS and HIV epidemic and the people who were losing someone to it. She reached out to Boyz II Men being like, I don't know if you'd be interested in doing this. And they're like, actually, we were writing our own song about that. Apparently they had a tour manager who died from it. And they're like, the lyrics are basically what you were saying. And even the musical structure was very much what she was working on for this song. So the 2 of them just got together and it turned into, I think, a musically flawless song that is really, it sounds so rich and so full, and it is so evocative. It is a very special piece of music. It's musical alchemy. I use that phrase a couple times on this podcast. We are unfortunately up against another piece of musical alchemy in fantasy, and there is no easy decision here. Nick, is it going to be fantasy or is it going to be One Sweet Day for you?
it breaks my heart that we can't have both of these moving on.
I know. Yep.
But I gotta say fantasy.
Okay. Kevin, is it going to be Fantasy or One Sweet Day for you?
One half of this collaboration went to the Trump White House recently. So for that, I will be voting for Fantasy.
Okay. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yay, Boyz II Men.
Okay. So we will be moving Fantasy into the Final Four. Finally, the panel is split between Mariah's very first hit, Vision of Love, a 1 seed, and one of her later hits, 2 seed, We Belong Together. We've talked about both of these songs pretty extensively. Nick, do you want to say why belongs in the Final Four? I will share why Vision of Love has always treated me kind. Nick, please go first.
We Belong Together, I think, is Mariah at, again, freed, but she has gone through metamorphosis, and she is truly that butterfly. She is at the peak of her powers, vocally, lyrically. She is bringing a new modern sound. The way she did that, I think that's almost her truest form. Whereas Vision of Love, God, I love that song. It will always have a special place in my heart. But it's for that period. She's young. She's growing as a songwriter, as a producer. We Belong Together represents her in her fullest form.
So I argued for Vision of Love in round 1. I do think it's a remarkable debut. I actually preemptively am going to switch my vote here to We Belong Together because we have almost exclusively 90s Mariah in this Final Four, and I do want to have a post-2000 Mariah in here. But that being said, Kevin, where are you? Is it going to be Vision of Love or is it going to be We Belong Together?
I was going to go with Vision of Love, but if you're switching, I mean, for me, I will be honest with you. We Belong Together is not probably maybe my least favorite Mariah Carey on the top 16. If I'm being totally honest, like that's why I like Shake It Off better on that album. It just didn't land as well for me. I thought it was good, not great. And I think there's a lot of great in this. And that's why for me, I'm going to stick with Vision of Love. But if you're switching, that's also okay. It doesn't matter. But I'm going with Vision of Love.
Steven, is it Vision of Love or We Belong Together?
I'm going to have to go with We Belong Together.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think Vision of Love, we have several other songs in that milieu, we'll use that term, that are, in my opinion, better than Vision of Love, whereas we have nothing else like We Belong Together in the Final Four. This was a real tough call, folks, but that's what we do here on the Great Pop Culture Debate. With that, we have our Final Four. We're going to take a quick break to emancipate our memes. We'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm not Barbara Walters, and this is the Great Pop Culture Debate. In the ever-evolving landscape of pop culture, are you finding it difficult to keep up? The debates, the trends, the opinions, it can be quite overwhelming. What if there were a way to stay informed, to be in the know, without having to wade through a sea of information? I invite you to subscribe to the Great Pop Culture Debate newsletter, a curated collection of the most compelling discussions, the most insightful analyses, and yes, even a few controversial takes. Delivered directly to your inbox, it's your essential guide to navigating the fascinating world of movies, television, music, and more. Join us, won't you? Let us explore these cultural phenomena together. Subscribe to the Great Pop Culture Debate newsletter at greatpopculturedebate.com. Because as we all know, pop culture, it matters.
And we are back with the Final Four of our Best Mariah Carey Song debate. At this point in the show, I like to take a step back and see if it shook out the way I expected it to. So, our Final Four is Always Be My Baby, a 1 seed, versus Emotions, a 1 seed. Fantasy, a 1 seed, versus We Belong Together, a 2 seed. I would say that I'm not surprised by these. It could have gone 8 or so different songs could have been in here, and they would have been justified. That's the bench that we're talking about. This is a very competitive bracket, and I'm grateful for my panelists for walking through it with me. So, Always Be My Baby versus Emotions. I would like to start with Nick Everidge. Where are you going on this one?
I gotta go with Emotions. They are both great bops. They are both poppy and fun, but I see Emotions as kind of the paragon of it, the top of the poppy ditties that she's done.
Thank you. Steven Salvatore, is it Always Be My Baby or Emotions for you?
I'm going to have to go with Always Be My Baby. I think that the reason I love that song so much, not just because it's an earworm and the melody is just so strong, but because so many people think that it's a love song when really it's about longing for somebody, which I guess in and of itself is a love song. But I think a lot of the lyrics in that really hit in a way that earlier Mariah songs don't necessarily, which I think is kind of indicative of like her growth as a writer and as a person, because the older you get, the more experience you have to write from. So I think that while her earlier stuff like Emotions is just brilliant for all the reasons that Nick argued, I don't know, I have to give it to Always Be My Baby.
All right, Kevin, is it going to be Always Be My Baby or Emotions?
Yeah, for me, it's also going to be Always Be My Baby for really the exact same reason Steven said. I think for me, this is just one of those songs where, and I talked about this in the last round, where I don't know, there is just such, I love when she kind of gives you nuance to her music in a way where you can have these reads on her and how you engage with her, but she really does blend longing and love in such a really interesting way. And I think this highlights her growth as an artist for me. And I think she's just really fantastic in this song. So I'm going to stick with Always Be My Baby.
I'm with Nick in Emotions here, and I understand why people are going for Always Be My Baby. Number one, it is the most popular pick on this bracket. I think that is our ultimate number one seed. Number two, I think there's a universality with this song. Like, everybody likes this song. It doesn't matter what generation you're from. It has a throwback quality, but it's still very modern. It's sweet. There's something about it everyone can enjoy. The video with the tire swing, like the whole thing just works. It's not forced. There's an effortless to it, even though there's so much effort that's going into this song, right? So I get why people are going with it, and I agree with that. Like, the writing on it is more sophisticated than Emotions, which is very much a young person writing a song for a young person, right? From a vocal perspective, my God, I don't think you can beat Emotions. She just rips into that song, and it escalates and escalates and escalates, and every time I hear it, I'm just blown away by that vocal. I love it. That being said, okay, Nick.
I just want to just say, again, with Always Be My Baby, another important part of it, Jermaine Dupri. That was their very first collaboration, and that has set her on the course. I gotta, you gotta give some applause there.
100.
And appreciate, but girl, I'm with Emotions still.
So it's 2-2, and Always Be My Baby is the ultimate number one seed. So it would advance here. So sorry, Nick, but like, talk about, this close, right? Steven, you want to say something?
I do. I just want to add something about Emotions that I think is a pretty important point. I love that song so much. Mariah did not really get a lot of praise for using her whistle register for a really long time. Even though that's something that she is known for, it's one of her signature vocal moves, sounds, whatever you want to call it. And I just find it really funny how somebody like Ariana Grande, who I love, whenever she now does the whistle tone in one of her songs, the internet goes wild for it. They think it's the most amazing thing. And I just want to be like, can we rewind like 30 years so that we could give this kind of love to Mariah? Because like, she obviously, I know, like Minnie Riperton, she was the one who, really brought, inspired Mariah and brought this to the forefront. But, the fact that Mariah never really got the respect. So I would like to put a little respect on Mariah's name for that, in the same way that Ariana gets her respect now.
Absolutely. Don't speak to me of the old magic, children. I was there when it was made. All right. So with that being said, we will be moving Always Be My Baby into the final two. Fantasy versus We Belong Together. I'm going to start, Steven, actually back of the pack with this one. Is it going to be Fantasy or We Belong Together for you?
This is really, really hard. Fantasy, I argued. Obviously, it's the blueprint for all of the pop girls, but I will never forget the turmoil of being a Mariah fan during Glitter and having to endure everybody saying Mariah's a has-been, Mariah's over, Mariah's voice sounds terrible, Mariah will never sing again. Meanwhile, Glitter was a vocally phenomenal album, but we won't go there. Charm Bracelet came around, Through the Rain did what it did, but it didn't really do a lot. And nobody was really checking for her. And then It's Like That hit, and suddenly it started to feel good to be a Mariah fan again. And then We Belong Together. And I remember, I will never forget, I was a college freshman. I was sitting in my dorm. I was on the Friends of Mariah message board. And that song leaked before it came out on the radio, before it premiered. And I remember like downloading, listening to that leak and crying as like an 18-year-old or however old I was in my dorm room alone, like eating like a fucking, beef microwavable meal, just like at 1 o'clock in the morning, crying, going, oh my God, she's back. Like this, I will never forget that feeling of like, this is going to blow people away. And then actually seeing it blow people away, and then realizing that like, oh, people do love Mariah. They just maybe were afraid to admit it, or they wanted that comeback from her, and she gave it to them. And so for that feeling, I give it to We Belong Together. But Fantasy is fantasies. It can't compare. So both are winners. I'm advancing both. I'm calling an audible.
Try.
I'm calling an audible. I don't even know sports references, but I'm doing it.
I was gonna say, I feel like the way you were just describing your Mariah fandom must be what straight people deal with sports teams. Is this the equivalent? Because I can't get it, but like I get your Mariah Carey ride or die.
I assume so.
Yeah, I assume so. Kevin Dillon, is it going to be Fantasy or We Belong Together?
Eric, just a quick question. You were 18 when that song came out too, right? Is that accurate?
Add on another 12 or so years,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
No, for me, it's Fantasy. And I understand what that felt like. And I get that emotionality of that moment, because whenever one of our pop girlies is down and then they get back up, maybe except for Katy Perry, we'll get very excited. It happens with Fergie. It happens with Christina lately. Like, people are getting to be able to celebrate the folks who they really fell in love with, Britney Spears, etc. Being a fan of some of these people who the internet and media and men built up to take down, like seeing them succeed is great. With that said, Mariah, with Fantasy, Pitchfork named that the #1 song of all songs in the 1990s. And Pitchfork Music notoriously hates pop music and like really go to bat for alternative, rap, other genres. And I think what they recognize with that being the #1 song of the 1990s is just how influential it is, it will be, and it is the blueprint for the girls who we always want to celebrate. And like, her collaboration on that song is just next level. And that music video is the roller coaster. It's an iconic moment from Rush Hour. The little girl sing it in the back seat. And I love that moment. It's just that song that you want to belt also at karaoke, even if you can't sing, and get everyone singing with you. It's just every kind of song. And so that's why for me it's Fantasy, but it is a tough decision. And Stephen, your argument was really good.
Excellent. Nick Average, is it Fantasy or We Belong Together?
I gotta say, it's Fantasy for me. If you think about Fantasy, and we just had Big Energy, which incorporated Fantasy. That was 2022, 1995. I mean, almost 20 years later, that's how relevant it is. It's one of those earworms that people are now going back to sample. Yep. Which Mariah did herself, She sampled Genius of Love from 1981 to pull into Fantasy. So I just think, again, these are all my babies. I love them all. But in this case, Fantasy.
I'm sorry, Stephen, don't be mad at me. I'm giving it to Fantasy too.
I can't. It's a brilliant wonderful song. I'm torn. I was so torn.
Yeah, I hear you. It's tough. So we have a final two of Always Be My Baby versus Fantasy. Are these both off the same album? I don't remember.
The
They are both
Daydream
off the
album.
same- Yep. Okay. Which is number 3 for her?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, this was her fourth. That was her fourth album.
Okay. Thank you.
Fifth, if you include Merry Christmas, which is a studio album, and so I include it.
It is. And listen, Merry Christmas is fucking incredible. Go listen to, we talk about it in the best holiday album episode and in the best modern holiday pop song. Mariah gets a lot of discussion. So I'd like to start with Kevin Dillon. Always Be My Baby or Fantasy. Which one are you going with?
Before I thought of this anecdote and I wanted to tell it. One of my favorite things that Mariah Carey has ever done in an interview is she made Andy Cohen switch sides because of her preferred side on Watch What Happens Live. And I think that is icon behavior. She
Absolutely.
is perfection. She's a great interview. I love her so much as a television personality. She made those, as you said, Eric, terrible seasons of American Idol entertaining with her beef with Nicki Minaj. She is a pure fantasy to me. My ultimate winner is Fantasy. I love that song so much. It is, I think, hands down, like probably one of my top 5 Mariah songs. It's just a perfect song.
Steven Salvatore, is it going to be Always Be My Baby or Fantasy?
I mean, these are two perfect songs.
Yep.
I think my original choice was Always Be My Baby, but I think I'm moving to Fantasy. I just think that it's I was swayed by my own argument. It's just which is icon behavior.
It is icon
like
behavior.
Haven't I done enough?
Amazing. Nick Everidge, is it Always Be My Baby or Fantasy?
Sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. When I close my eyes, you come and you take me. If that doesn't answer, what does?
What does? I was listening to all of these songs as we did the prep for this, and Fantasy comes on, and holy Christ, it is like a roller coaster. It just takes you. You are gone. You are swept away. It is just a full throttle ride, and it's just so ebullient. It's just so much fun, and it's so funky, and everywhere you turn, there's something else coming at you. Yeah, it's a roller coaster, but it's almost like a fun house. You know what I mean? It's a sonically fireworks. Not to bring up Katy Perry again. Katy Perry, stop. But no, I really do think it is an exceptional song. It changed music as Mariah herself has changed music. And we are so lucky to be alive at a time where we have artists like her, right? Like, honestly, that is kind of a gift. So there you have it, folks. Our pick for the best Mariah Carey song is Fantasy. Do you agree? Do we have you feeling emotions deeper than you ever dreamed of? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or find us on Blue Sky or Instagram. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you to my panel. I think we may belong together. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. And what's that in the distance? Do I hear the tinkling of Christmas chimes? Begin the thawing of our Queen of Christmas.